Hey viewers, today we're going to jump right into the intriguing phenomenon we call pretty privilege. Get ready for a fascinating journey into the world of beauty bias. No welder 21 tro to opaydar. How do you know if you have pretty privilege?
Wears clothes not appropriate for work but doesn't get told to go home and change.
Some signs that you might have pretty privilege. It's not hard to find people who are interested in dating you. It's not hard to find people in movies, TV shows, and ads who look broadly similar to you. And those people are often the lead characters, not the comic relief sidekick. You never or rarely feel like people treat you like you're invisible. People you're dating are very willing to be seen in public with you and don't try to hide you from their friends and family. Strangers often compliment you, bend the rules for you, or otherwise do favors for you, even if you haven't been particularly nice to them. Or they laugh at your jokes, even if they weren't particularly funny. Or they seem to find you fascinating, even if you haven't said or done anything particularly interesting.
Honestly, I didn't realize until I lost it. I never thought I was super attractive, but then I got less attractive, and wow, the difference is stark. I thought how I was treated was just normal. I should add, even at my hottest, I wasn't like a model or anything. Just hotter than I realized I was. Enough to make a difference.
For me, the most clear had been job interviews. I have gotten every job I've had because of pretty privilege along with class privilege. Basically, I have had no experience in the field, and yet I always know if I get the interview, I'm getting hired. At my last job, they were asking for fluency in a language I'm not even fluent in, and sure, I know I am confident and my job interview skills are top-notch, but I got hired over native speakers. So, when I worked in television again, I had no video editing skills and went to the interview and got hired as a creative producer whose main job was video editing.
So I lost a ton of weight over the past year and am back to a healthy weight. I've noticed so many things, like people hold doors open for me. They try to strike up random conversations with me all the time when I'm shopping or at the gym. Some even try to offer to help me with stuff. None of that happened when I was overweight and not considered pretty. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
People engaging with you, forgiving your mistakes, behavior, people being friendly and helpful.
Random babies almost always smile at you. As I've gotten older, I get catcalled less, but the babies still smile, and that's all that matters to me.
The kindness of strangers. If it's something you had experienced for all your life until this very moment, then the personal ego that comes with it is also an indicator, which is not to the person's advantage. If I have to keep it short, you become the princess who needs to be saved in fairy tale. But there's different degrees to it. I stated the highest level.
Interesting, isn't it? The diverse range of experiences shared here paints a vivid picture of the subtleties and impacts of pretty privilege. It's a thought-provoking reminder of the complexities inherent in societal perceptions of attractiveness and the privileges that can come with it. Moving on.
It's hard to really feel that you have pretty privilege if you've always been pretty. But find videos of people who have gone through major glow-ups like huge weight losses, etc. And even they are shocked at how much better they are treated by people.
I think it should be pretty obvious. Life is good, easy. You get away with stuff. People give you the benefit of the doubt, generally are really nice to you, etc. Strange, random kids stare, like you, without any reason, is generally a decent indicator. Like, sometimes if and when I hear or read about other people's experiences, or even with the same person, service, etc., and by how different it is, you can tell you're being treated better due to some reason or the other. And also just by perspective. Sure, really attractive people will get negatives that come with being attractive, but I assure you the positives greatly outweigh the negatives, if you're really benefiting from the privilege. And you can tell by how they interact with the world, whether they are treated with privilege in their life.
When people first see you, they seem genuinely pleased. It's hard to describe, but you can see a sense of approval in people's eyes. And if someone doesn't find me attractive, I can sense right away that approval or initial bent towards liking me is gone, and I have to try harder.
Yeah. And I feel in some situations like they don't really listen to what I say because they're in their own head thinking, wow, she is gorgeous. How do I keep her attention? How do I get her number or get her to go home with me, etc.? I can see it in their eyes when we are having a conversation. It doesn't really matter what I say or how I say it. Kinda sucks. When I get really excited about talking about something and they interrupt me to persuade me into their flirting or whatever.
People don't care about your social skills and emotional intelligence until maybe you go completely overboard. The amount of times I've seen a beautiful person do something rude, inappropriate, or awkward and completely get away with zero damage to their reputation. I'm not jealous, you're jealous.
Here, we also see a few downsides of pretty privilege, offering a nuanced understanding of its drawbacks. Let's continue the rest.
Never bullied. People would share homework, tutor me, never struggled pairing up for projects, passed every interview, got higher grades on presentations, signed house renting contracts on the spot. But I strongly believe charisma plays a huge role since I've met and avoided pretty people that were giving an odd vibe, and also not taking advantage of people helps.
Job interviews can be easier unless you get an interviewer of the same sex, then it can work against you, LOL. People will give you things for free or cheaper. People offer to buy things for you. People in general are just nicer to you. You get help easier, like help at work or asking directions. And people want to come up to you and talk to you. When you have pretty privilege, it won't take long to figure out because of these reasons, LOL.
People will take pictures of you without consent, sometimes literally in your face, other times trying to be sneaky, but are still always really obvious. You might be offered stuff randomly. I was once offered a free helicopter ride that I sincerely declined. You'll get people doing double takes at you, and then watch them from the corner of your eye, still looking even after you pass them. Even when inside a car, you'll get people looking. You might get really great deals in stores, deals that are way too good that sometimes you even feel like you committed a crime. You might get random strangers of any ages or gender approaching you just to tell you that they find you really beautiful. Sometimes people will randomly give you their Insta. You get friends of friends asking for you and asking for your friends to invite you to their parties or invite them the next time they're with you. Your friends' parents might be constantly asking for you or inviting you to their dinners or parties. And you might be the favorite friend of all your friends' parents. Your parents. Male friends will keep asking your parents how you're doing, or ask them to show current pictures of you to see how much you've grown. When talking to people, they might try to keep getting closer, but really too close. You might get a lot of accidental touches. A lot of, if not all your friends either have or had a crush on you. You might have reject a lot more people than you could ever keep count. Deep down you know that no one is out of your league, and you could pretty much pick and choose anyone you wanted. Your friends that are attracted to women keep taking pictures of you, or with you to post in their Insta or in their stories. You might have been asked to, or even told all the great reasons why you definitely should get an OF account. Acquaintances and friends keep making jokes or trying to subtly imply that they want to do stuff with you. When you ask new friends what they thought about you before they met you, 90% of the time, the answer is, I thought you were a bitch. Your male friends' moms will keep trying to get you to spend more time with their sons, sometimes even inviting you to their house or telling you to show up whenever you want.
Oh, wow, that's quite the list. What we fail to see is that all the things we think is glamorous always have its cons. On to the next comments.
I used to be on the prettier side, and then I gained 25 kilo and got a lot of acne due to hormonal issues. People treat me with contempt now as an ethnic minority woman who already takes up space. Men especially were a lot nicer to me. but now have no interest in anything I say. I'm working on it for my health. People look me up and down, ignore me, and my confidence levels have come down as a result. People are way nicer to my pretty friend. She even gets discounts on things I pay full price for.
From what I've seen, it comes with dozens of old married guys catcalling you on the streets. Every pretty woman I know can share experiences like this, and they claim it happens all of the time. I've never been catcalled nor had any privilege, so...
Are you often objectified, sexualized? Do people tell you you're pretty when you go out? Are people more attentive to you? How do women in relationships treat you when you're around them and their SO? There are pros and cons to pretty privilege, but once you navigate the cons, the pros can be advantageous.
There are a lot of downfalls to being pretty as well that nobody seems to talk about. Sure, people hold the door open for you and make small talk. Sure, you get hit on and drinks bought for you. Maybe some guys will help you with your car or easily get a job. But you also get an abundance of men purely being nice to you just to have sex. They rarely try and get to know you deeply, as they just see a pretty face and think about sleeping with you. They will fake their entire personality to do so. You also get an abundance of women who are jealous, insecure, and can be downright bullies. You constantly second-guess if people actually see you for your skills and strengths, versus just offer you something because you're pretty and they want to sleep with you. Your guy friends GFS get pissed off if they hang out with you. It's extremely difficult to have close friends because the opposite sex always wants more, have GFS that won't allow it, and the same sex are insecure if they feel you're prettier than them. Then the probability of getting sexually assaulted or sexually harassed when you go out alone is also very high, which causes a lot of anxiety going out alone.
I'm someone who doesn't have it. You get treated like you're invisible, and if you've got it, you don't. People literally climb mountains for you if you've got it, while you sit back and do literally nothing if you're pretty. I'm an average-looking black girl. It's pretty clear I don't have any of it.
Get let off with a warning when pulled over, special treatment at work. People will immediately run to help you if you have a flat tire or having trouble with something like damsel in distress. People just giving extra attention and being a lot friendly with you in public. People compliment you frequently, bartenders giving you random free drinks, mostly men being especially generous. Offering you help in any way they can, special discounts when buying something or extra free service stuff. Not all but some partners or friends want to show you off. People staring at you in the car when at a stoplight and trying to smile or wink at you. Getting used to people always staring at you.
So many things, but also all the men at work love to set up pointless meetings with me to mentor me. It's clear they just want to connect and spend time with me.
We're getting a mix of different perspectives here. Tune in for the remaining bit.
Never worrying if you'd end up alone. This obviously excludes scenarios if you're the picky one or not interested enough to settle with someone, etc., etc. Maybe it sounds simple, and not always the case. But if other attractive people smile at you, I find that in particular, women who are attractive are drawn to other attractive women. It might be because, sometimes, attractive women tend to be less insecure, or assumed to be less insecure. So IDK pretty people try to be friends with other pretty people? I think that kind of explains the high school pretty mean girl clique trope that often happens. I think the biggest thing is never worrying about whether you're objectively pretty. But people with pretty privilege honestly probably are just as inundated with insecurities as other people. But it's less about whether they are objectively pretty, but more so whether they see themselves as achieving their personal standards of looks.
Also, in my personal experience, being able to get away with being weird and having a unique sense of humor. If I wasn't pretty and with stereotypical features associated with femininity like long hair, body, etc., I'd probably have a much harder time. Also, social anxiety just gets mistaken for being reserved or sometimes intimidating, which I've been told a few times. I'm not drop-dead gorgeous emo, but I have enough co-current aspects of attractive features to be kind of up there. Like if I cut my hair short, I'd be knocked down a couple points. I find pretty privilege isn't necessarily about being stunningly beautiful for most people. I find some of it is also tied to class privileges as well. A beautiful girl dressed in clothes that make people assume she is poor, not classy, uncultured, etc. is different to a plain, pretty girl who is dressed in a way that is classy, maybe middle class, feminine, etc. I'm just talking about what society thinks, not my personal viewpoints.
Well, you sure know if you don't have it.
Honestly, it's kinda hard to tell when you have it, if you've always had it. People who don't say it's obvious, but when that has been your experience your whole life, it's not as obvious. Also, it intersects with other kinds of privilege, like being wealthy, thin, and/or white. And of course, there are varying degrees of pretty privilege. I would say that the few indicators that you can spot even when you're in it are: you don't feel invisible. When you walk around, you can tell that people at least notice you visually, if not also greeting you, opening doors, etc. Getting a compliment from a stranger out in public wouldn't shock you or faze you, especially if you took care of your appearance that day and felt you looked good. You have been approached more than once by someone asking for your number, or asking for a date, whether or not it's people that you'd be interested in dating. There had been times that an employee at a place of business has gone out of their way to help you out, or especially if they've granted you a one-time exception or bent the rules in some other way. Your perception of people in general is that they're kind and/or chatty. There are times when you expect you could get away with something. So like if you think you could knowingly break a rule but play dumb and be off the hook, or if you could try playing cute to diffuse a situation. I'd say this one is the one that hinges the most on proximity to whiteness, though.
If you have it, you'll know. People will fall for you all the time. People will ask you out and compliment you about your looks. Source: had some really good-looking friends, and guys, girls are just all over them.
And we've heard it all, folks. As we journey through these diverse perspectives, one thing becomes clear. There's a line between the advantages and disadvantages of pretty privilege. The latter, some people fail to notice. What about you? Do you have pretty privilege? As always, make sure to share your thoughts with us in the comments. See you in the next video.